Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 4J's show here at Utica TV. I'm your host, James Brown, and today we got a lot of topics to discuss. But before we get there, let's go around the table and introduce ourselves, starting with my good friend to my right.
What's going on? I'm Jeremy. You read the sign here. After a 4-4 week of picks, I'm kind of just happy to be here. I got the moose back though, so a little bit of happiness in my life because of my friend on my head. But I'm ready to get my losses rubbed in my face by everyone to my left.
Jack Rathburn. I did a little bit better than Jeremy. He started the year off undefeated. I did a little bit better. I think I went 5-3, but they didn't count one of mine because I switched. I took the Utica women's hockey team splitting, and I picked the wrong days, so they didn't give me credit for that. But again, also excited to get back to it.
And I'm Justin Notar. Clearly, nobody else got the memo to wear polos today. I don't know what's going on over there. But I am the best picker at this table, and as Jeremy said, I will be rubbing it in his face all day long, and I'm excited to be back here for week 3.
Definitely got a lot of picks to get to. Before we get there, we got a lot to recap. A lot of things happened in Utica sports, starting with the biggest story, that being Damian Call entering the 1,000-point club for the Pioneers with their win against Russell Sage. And let's just take another look at that performance. Great graphic right there by our great team at Utica TV. But 19th player in program history to reach this accolade. He was also named the Empire Co. Player of the Week with 36 points in their 2-0 sweep that we'll talk about a little bit later. But 18 point, 10 rebound, double-double sealed that 1,000-point game for him.
Yeah, second year in a row, too, with Utica having a 1,000-point scorer. Last year was Justice Brantley, and that just shows, how good this team is at developing players and how good of a coaching staff they have here at Utica. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Dayon reached that mark as well, the way he's playing. And just congratulations to Dane, big player on their team, big accomplishment, and job's not finished for him, and he knows that.
Take it away. I'm washed. I'm going to go last.
You got nothing to say.
Nothing to say?
I'll go after you guys, but listen, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole this week, so kick it to you guys.
Damian Call, obviously a really good player, shooting over 50% from the field, over 30% from 3, 13.5 points per game. He is just balling out. No doubt he's one of the most important players in this team, and I don't think anyone's really surprised that he reached that 1,000-point mark at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with that 5th year, Damian Call has been somebody. He was Rookie of the Year in the Empire 8 his first season with the program, and then every year since then, he just had himself great year after great year. So seeing him hit that 1,000-point mark was awesome, especially for him to do it at home in front of Amiga Court on his senior day. Just couldn't have scripted it any better.
Yeah, I remember a couple weeks ago we were talking about men's basketball, and we brought up, Call chasing down 1,000 points. We obviously knew he was going to get it, but getting it at home, obviously something that just makes it feel a little bit better. Did it on a free throw, which we'll see shortly. I was running the board in the radio station for the game. I know, JB, you were on the call with the birthday boy, Nick Phillips. So pick, shout out to you. Happy birthday, my man. But yeah, it was really cool to watch on the stream, listen to it over the airwaves live. It was a great moment that's forever sentimented in Utica basketball history.
By the way, Notar, Dayon Thompson is 873 points in his junior year, so he's well on his way. Probably going to
he'll be there.
Pretty comfortably.
It's going to be probably 3 years in a row with a 1,000-point score. Just a great program and great accomplishments for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And not only did Damian Call have a monumental weekend, but the Pioneers had a ton of success as a team going 2-0 this weekend as well. Let's take a look at some of those highlights for those that might have missed these games. So here we go. And I got into our first recap right here. Big shot by Thompson to start the game.
Daytime.
He was
Absolutely.
deep.
And we got Kane. He also had a big game. 3 for 5. One of his 3 3-pointers that he hit. Freshman getting a lot of more playing time. Beautiful move in the post.
Freshmen are making a big difference on this team too. Jordan Kane and I don't remember the other
Isaiah
Smith.
Well.
So, yeah.
Here we go, 1,000 point.
There it is. That's the one.
And I wish they did something for him. I know it's a free throw, and there's obviously not a direct stoppage in play, but do something for him. Stop the game, let the team run out to him, or say something on the mic.
Yeah, now during the game, during the broadcast, I was like, I'm shocked they're not stopping this, but I was like, Damian Call is just ready to go. Beautiful pass to Flynn. Kane, another 3-pointer.
Flynn's been such a spark plug recently the past week or two.
Great off the bench.
He was huge against St. John Fisher. We talked about that last
week.
One
more.
There's the third one. 3 for 5 for him. Big game. Steal. in transition. Thompson, pull up, bow. Good shot, right in front of the crowd.
Pioneers are 38% from three as a team, like everyone combined. Like that's a good three-point shooting
Absolutely, and they were a mark way below that to start the year. They really got hot from three.
I think this kid Damian Thompson can pull up from the parking lot the way he shoots.
Absolutely.
It's a long walk from the parking lot to the court, too. It's so cold. I hate that walk.
This was a big play in the game, though, right here. It was a 7-point game. This was a huge steal coming up right here. And
that
put
was
the bucket
Foley,
in.
right?
Yeah, Foley. Huge play right him. Really sealed the
I'm
deal.
always impressed watching Hagen Foley play defense. We see him on offense putting up all these numbers like rebounds, assists, and everything, but he's able to do it on defense too. Like he is an all-around player.
Absolutely. Great
Sage
pass
a
by
solid
Sage,
team
though.
too. The sweep.
Yeah, they played great. They did their thing. I mean, Utica was just too much. Their perimeter defense too good, and there's the win. And look at Foley. Like we said, 20 points, 3 steals, 3 assists for him. And, I also wanted to talk about Hagen Foley. It's something that we haven't seen. I talked about it with Nick Phillips on the broadcast. With Foley, he's really changed his game. He was really a shooter to start the year, spot-up shooter, guy that was shooting 50% from 3. That mark's going all the way down to nearly 40. And with him, it's you watch his –
I don't know.
what's so funny over there?
I don't know, dude. I got the giggles.
That's funny though, saying all the way down to 40, like that's a bad number. Like that's still an incredible number, but obviously less than 50.
No,
but
yeah.
still.
Well, his last 6 games, I believe he's shooting like 30% from 3, so that's why it's gone down so much. But if you watch his game, he's still putting up 20 points because he's working it inside much better. Like he only took 1 3 the whole game versus Sage. His footwork was incredible, getting to the bucket incredible. Just a big game from him.
What are you giggling about?
I think Eric Corey is shooting 3% from three-point line after our pickup where he apparently dislocated his shoulder.
Oh my god.
No, but it's Russell Sage team we're talking about. Like they're a good team. They're 13-9 on the year. This is not like an easy game that you can walk into and kind of experiment, do whatever you want. Like putting up those good numbers against a team like that is still a pretty impressive day.
Yeah. Also, too, we previewed these games a week ago today, and we talked about how Hartwick played them close last week. They played them close earlier in the year, and Utica just completely taking business with them on the road. And then on senior day, carrying that momentum into it, and that's big. I think they clinched the playoff spot with that win, so that's another big accomplishment for them. And, job's not finished. As I said last week, I had a chance to talk to Damian Thompson before the year, and he said that they wanted to make a run in the NCAAs, and it's going to take a lot more good basketball to do so.
Yeah, this is a team that had a very brief skid in that December type of area, but they've really heated up as of recently. 86-69 win over the Hawks on Friday. And then a 70-61 win that we just covered right there. So hopefully, they got a couple games coming up that we're going to preview. But let's move over onto the ice. Women's hockey got a huge 2-1 win versus Nazareth, led by Kaci Ryder's game winner. Let's take another look at that. And yeah.
Around the wall it goes yet again. 8:20 to go. Second period to play still. They like that one-time try. Kaci Ryder's there. Like State Farm when you need her. She's there. Kaci Ryder puts the Pioneers up 2-1.
There it is. Jeremy, you were on the call. What a call right there, and what a game.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you play Nazareth, that's a big rivalry game in any sport here at Utica. But specifically the women's ice hockey team, those are the 2 top teams in the women's UCHC conference, especially being such a small conference. I mean, having those 2 teams battle it out multiple times a year, it's always a nitty-gritty performance. They opened the game scoring the first goal. It was a very weird play. I believe Sophia Pittis of Nazareth turned the puck over behind her own net. McKinley Hoff, her goalie, just lost sight of the puck, and I think it was Kendall Best who put the wraparound try in. But shortly after, the Pioneers took a couple bad penalties, and Julia Holmes of Nazareth was able to capitalize. She took probably the fastest lap shot I've ever seen at the Nexus Center. That thing was probably clocked in at like 85, 90 miles an hour, and that's no exaggeration. I swear. Me and Mike didn't even know it went in. It went off her stick, into net, and right back out. We thought it was blocked out in front, but the Pioneers kept fighting, took a couple bad penalties throughout the rest of the game. But again, kept battling, did the nitty-gritty things right, and ultimately Kaci Ryder, we saw there, always in the right spot at the right time. Kaci Ryder putting the Pioneers ahead and beating Nazareth again. That's her second game-winning goal against Nazareth at home this year as well.
Yeah, it's a good team. I mean, 3-game winning streak after that win against Nazareth on Friday. Again, they're 15th in the country. Like, they're a really good team. We talk about the Pioneers facing really good teams, and strength of schedule is obviously something you have to consider when you're talking about like a winning record like the Pioneers have. But again, they're not playing just nobody. It's like Nazareth is a really good team, and the fact that they're still maintaining composure and playing the same way they like to play. It's a good team.
Yeah, too. I like how you mentioned Jeremy. That's Kaci Ryder's second game winner against and you also mentioned how this is a rivalry. Big time players stepping up in big time moments. So huge for Kaci Ryder, and also with Nazareth, 2-2 on the year. So definitely going into the playoffs, this is going to be a interesting championship, assuming both teams get to where they're supposed to get. And both games this weekend, 1-goal games. Just gritty hockey, and excited to see where the series goes in the playoffs.
Well, I believe Nazareth still holds the number 1 spot in the UCHC. We're definitely probably going to see this matchup again, due to there only being 4 teams in the UCHC in those playoffs. Jeremy, I mean, like you said, you were on the call. Do you think that the Pioneers got a good chance of going into Rochester getting a win? I mean, they lost both games on the road, but do you think they could do it in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think they can. They have the talent. We talked to Riley earlier at our WPNR Sportsman. I mean, she talked about how much talent the women's hockey team really has. I mean, when you have Angela Hawthorne in the net, like, it really feels like you can beat anybody with a goalie that good. It's kind of like prime Henrik Lundqvist, not to, boast my Ranger fandom onto Nico Leonard, our lovely producer who loves the New Jersey Devils. But, yeah, anytime you have a team who has a lot of heart and plays really hard and they're always on the same page, I think you can really go far. Again, beating this Nazareth team in their own place isn't an easy thing to do, but when you have players like Kaci Ryder, Riley Calhoun, Kendall Best, Angela Hawthorne again specifically, I really think they have a shot to do it.
Hawthorne's fun to watch too. Like, obviously, as a Pioneer fan, it's fun to watch someone do that well. I mean, I'm sure if you're an opposing team, she's probably the worst player to watch. But like, I get to be on the call and at that game when she broke the program save record, and she's just incredible. She's really, really good between the pipes. And like Jeremy's saying, it's really hard to do anything when you've got a goaltender that good.
Yeah, and she won goalie of the week again. 6th week, I believe, this season that she won goalie of the week in the UCHC. Crazy.
She deserves it too.
Yeah, just another week for her. I mean, you talked last week that she broke the save record and like almost didn't care.
Yeah, no one. It was weird.
Yeah, so it's just another week for her. Again, shout out to Angela. Another great season, topped up by another great week of play by her. I mean, they don't win without her. They don't come close to the success they have without her. But luckily enough, Angela Hawthorne's still a Pioneer for the rest of the season.
Well, let's stay on the ice. Men's hockey traveled to the Steel City to take on Chatham on Friday and Saturday. The first game went down as a tie, and on the record sheet after the Pioneers lost in the shootout, there was no worry for the team as they came back on Saturday winning 6-2. We had an X-Factor performance from Drake Morris in that win. Let's take a look at that. Drake the Horse, 2 goals, 2 assists, and a 6-2 win. We had a lot of tension, though, before in the pre-production of the show.
Don't even get me started.
We are very torn.
This is riled up.
Obviously we'll talk about the game too, but one of the biggest subjects at hand is if this game goes down as a loss or as a tie in terms of our picks. So, Jeremy, I know you were very adamant that this was not a loss on your record.
I just don't like to lose. I don't like to lose, and I think part of it was also me being upset that they lost in the shootout. But I talked to Ray Biggs a couple times throughout the year, and he said they changed a bunch of the rules, and I read them out to you guys. So whoever wins in a shootout overtime gets the extra point, and I guess if we're basing off that, fine. But I just don't like losing to Notar out of all people.
That's right.
To be honest, that's the reason.
I mean, the only reason he's just happy to be here. He's just content with being here. He's not ecstatic to be here, and that's because the guy to his left is the best picker at the table.
That's not true.
I said last week that Chatham was a better team than the record showed. They beat Geneseo, and then they beat the Pioneers. And don't want to toot my own horn here, but I did call it "we hoopin'."
What? That's a crazy pull.
And I'm just gonna keep winning every week, but. Good bounce back by the Pioneers to stay on the road the next day and take care of business, winning by 4 goals.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, you take a tough loss in a shootout, it doesn't really count. You can't really let it affect your mentality too much, and then you're able to come back and beat them by 4. I mean, clearly that game didn't mean too much to them, even if it's going to questionably count as a loss.
Yeah, it meant a lot to us at the table.
It probably meant more to us than to them.
I called it.
But what I like to see, too, from this Pioneer team, as somebody that's followed them very closely, is they've played a lot of close games. And I feel like that 3-3 game, hopefully losing a shootout to a team that is much more inferior to you. Obviously, they're the number 2 team in the country. You shouldn't be losing to a team that's not ranked. But I feel like them winning 6-2 is a good sign. This is a team that has so much talent, is well coached, and they should be blowing these teams out. And they finally get a big blowout. We haven't seen it too much this year, so I'm hoping that they can extend that into these next upcoming games versus Geneseo and Manhattan.
I think that's what Notar was kind of saying. Like, this is a Chatham team that, like, their record doesn't really give them a whole lot of credit. But again, like he said, they beat Geneseo, and that's who their Pioneers are playing coming up this weekend. So I think that might kind of give us some intel as to how that weekend's going to look like.
Yeah, they also beat Geneseo on the road, and they put up 7 goals against them, a 7-6 win. That's a huge win for a team like Chatham, whose record is 7-12. So maybe Utica might have overlooked them, or Chatham is just really a lot better than their record really is. But just good bounce back for the Pioneers.
Yeah, I mean, Chatham's a good team. I called the game. It was Utica versus Chatham. I think the way they did it, it was 2 games at Utica earlier in the year, and now obviously 2 games in PA this past weekend. They're a gritty team, and they're annoying to play against. I mean, I called the games at Ray Biggs. They're not a team that's just, they're not a pushover. I didn't expect them to beat the Pioneers, whether it was in regulation or a shootout like we talked about, and still doesn't sit right with me that I got a loss for that. But they're not a team that you're just going to be able to walk in, especially in their place. You're just not just going to be able to walk in and expect them to roll over and die. That's not what the coaching staff preaches over there. And we saw that, obviously, competing with the Pioneers on Friday night. Both games, I'm sure I didn't get a chance to watch. I was busy not watching. But I obviously looked at the final score, and I said, yeah, I get it. It makes sense. The Pioneers lose 1, and they're not going to go out and lose 2. And, I mean, anytime you lose on the road, it never feels good, especially to a team like Chatham, who, again, not ranked, but plays everybody hard. You got to go out with the next day, and that's what the Pioneers did.
My only question for you is do you think that this Utica team has a kryptonite that could kind of other teams could watch on film from that game versus Chatham and say, hey, this is something that we should do to try and beat this team, or do you think it was just an off night?
Yeah, special teams. The penalty kill. Put them on the penalty kill. Either the power play or the penalty kill. The special teams hasn't been as good as it has been in recent years. I'm going to pull up the numbers right now because me and Ray talked about it a bunch of times in between periods, calling the games and stuff like that. But their special teams has not been as good as it has been in recent years. And I feel like that's kind of Achilles heel. If they draw a penalty, if the other, say they're playing Adrian, right? Just to throw it out there, that's a very good team. You could see them in the Final Four in the NCAA's. Say Adrian makes them take a penalty late in the third period of a quarterfinal game or the championship game. Putting a team like Adrian at a man advantage is not what you want to do, especially with the Pioneers. Again, their special teams has not been as great this year, but I mean, again, the offense is that good. And
that's something I was going to talk about. I mean, from the games that I have watched this Pioneer team play, is their offense seems to be really good at like full strength. For some reason, on that power play, they're just not able to kind of be as dominant as you'd expect from an offense that is that good.
Yeah. So they're 31% on the power play, which that's pretty good. The penalty kill, this website's like impossible to figure out. Can't figure it out.
Shout out Jordan Lambert.
I can't read. That's another
Can't
problem.
read?
No, I'm not good at reading.
You wear glasses?
I have my contacts in, but they're kind of getting dry right now. Yeah, 31% on the power play, and then 20. They're holding their opponents to 25% on their power plays. I mean, 25%. That's 1 in every 4 chances. Say you take 4 penalties tonight, like
Score.
Yeah. 25%. It's not bad, but as a team of the Pioneers, we've seen them be much better on that side, part of the ice. So I think that's something that other teams could possibly take advantage of.
Yeah, well, they got a big series coming up that we're going to cover. But before we get there, let's continue on. Men's wrestling competed in the Scranton Duels this past Saturday. They got their first win of the season versus Lackawanna College. Let's take a closer look at some notable performances during their weekend. Starting off with Matthews Bonato at 149 pounds, gave the team their first points in that win after pinning his opponent in 1 minute and 24 seconds. And most of the other matches ended in a forfeit in favor of the Pioneers, so awesome to see them get a big win for sure during that Scranton Duels. They also faced a couple other opponents, a couple other notable performances. Utica TV's own Terrence Walden, T-Dub, pinned his opponent in 4 minutes 44 seconds to get a big win, as well as a 5-4 decision versus Brian Hopkins of King's College. And I know he had one more win too, so shout out to Terrence. Big performance from him, and they're going to travel to Elmira for their next dual meet this Thursday. But big performance from them.
Absolutely.
Weekend.
I mean, I think it's an exciting thing. We talk about kind of the newer programs on the Utica campus and kind of see some struggles, but we see like some high moments from the team's ends. I think the first win on the season, they're able to get 4 wins last season. I think it's a big part of kind of transitioning to make maybe not part of the culture that we see on at the Utica campus, but like this is kind of a program at Utica, and it's something we're going to expect to see more of in the news, and I think read about a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see them, traveling, getting big wins, and then, I'm sure a lot of us were looking forward to them having a little bit more home meets. I know they only had one, but hopefully that's something that they can continue to try and finish the season on a strong note. Hopefully they can get some more home meets, and we can be able to get out there and watch both the men's and wrestling team a little more often.
Yeah, they've got a meet coming up tomorrow. Elmira College, Niagara Community College. They've got some good meets that I think are potential to add some more wins in the win column.
Absolutely, and Trevor Courtright too. Excited to see how far he can maybe go into the NCAA's as by himself.
Someone you got to talk about when you talk about wrestling in Utica.
Oh yeah, for sure. And let's move over now. Gymnastics took a trip to take on some tough opponents, including Cornell and Long Island University. Grace Marr and Emmy Graff continued their great seasons, finishing 3rd and 4th respectively in the all-around competition. Addison Ferrari and Abigail Walters were also standout names contributing to Utica's score on the floor exercises, which proved to be the team's strongest event. So, 186.325 total finish. That was 6th. Cornell finished with 194.200, followed by LIU, Brockport, Cortland, and Ithaca. But excited to see those names getting a lot of big performances for the Pioneers.
I mean, I think with gymnastics, we've kind of talked about the same 2 names, Emmy Graff and Grace Marr, pretty consistently. But I mean, I said it last week as well. The team score has really been pretty consistent from last year. This year, in every single meet, they've been pretty consistent within that high 180s. And then going into against Cornell, that's a really tough school. The gymnastics meets have been against some really, really tough schools. I mean, you can't really expect to play super duper well against these really, really tough schools. But again, if you're able to put up the consistent numbers, you're not scared of the bright lights, you're not scared of whatever environment you're in. If you're able to have these stand-up performances, talked about a couple of different names on the floor exercise. If you're able to find your strong suit, you're able to might be able to excel past that ceiling that you might be reaching at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a lot of great performances, obviously, from Graff and Marr, those being the 2 biggest ones. But I feel like if they can kind of clean things up on the other side of things, they're playing great opponents, but they got a couple of winnable meets, Brockport and a couple other type of things, and then nationals coming up. So hopefully they can try and figure these things out. Obviously still having a great season with the high 80s in points, but hopefully they can try and get a first place finish. I know I've talked to a couple people on the gymnastics team. They told me they really want a first place finish. So I know that's what they're looking forward to finish the season.
I think it's possible. I mean, if you just go to a meet, you're able to perform in the consistency that you've been able to do all season. There's no reason that maybe you find another school that doesn't perform as well in these tougher environments, and then you've snuck yourself onto the podium even.
Yeah, I wish they're another team that if they had more home meets, they finished 2nd in their home meet. Maybe they're a team that plays better at home. Hopefully they can get more home meets next year too. Be interested to see if they do that.
They certainly are better at home. In fact, their highest points that they've scored all year was in the home meet against Cortland, Ithaca, and Ursinus. And Ithaca actually came behind them in that meet. Unfortunately, had more points than the Pioneers this weekend in the Empire State Collegiate Championship. But as you said, better team performing in their own gym. And also something to mention too, Grace Marr, Emmy Graff, I think you mentioned Addie Ferry and Abby Walters. Those are all younger performers. They're either freshmen or sophomores. So this is a team that does have a bright future with a new program. Definitely things to look forward to. And 2 one-on-one meets coming up too, which maybe that gives them a better advantage or better opportunity to come in first.
Yeah, I think both you, Jack and Justin, brought up good points. You mentioned them putting up consistent numbers in the 180s. I think that's huge, especially going into a 16 meet and putting up almost 190 points. I mean, you talked about last week, if they can break that 190 mark, that'll really kind of put them over the edge and maybe get them that top finish that they're searching for. And I totally agree. Maybe having that many teams you have to compete against is a lot to handle mentally. I mean, I know if it was me on the mat, I think competing against 5 different schools is definitely much different mentally than just taking on one. So they have a dual meet against Brockport on February 21st. I think that just having to focus on one other team and what they can do, I really think that may help them take home that first place finish that they're searching for.
Another thing I wanted to bring up, Notar, you mentioned it. I didn't even think about it really, but with the newness of the team, they're playing against teams that have been around. They have this experience in the collegiate world. They've been doing this. They're probably older, but Utica gymnasts. They're younger. They're like the nature of the program. That's kind of they've got to get used to that. I think that'll see higher scores in the future because of that.
Filled with freshmen and sophomores. And also another thing is too, you mentioned how they play Brockport. They also have a meet against Cortland. That's gonna be their 4th time seeing them. And with the scores that Cortland's put up, Cortland seems like a very good program. So also another fun matchup to look forward to.
Yeah, wishing them success. They're going to have the week off this week, and then they're going to travel to Brockport for their next meet. Looking forward to seeing how they compete in that. But we had a big weekend with men's and women's track and field teams. They both competed. And they had yet another week of record-breaking performances. The X Factor performance was Riley King. Let's take a look at her performance. 15.75 meter throw in the weight throw for her, second all-time. Huge performance from her. Couple of other big ones. Hannah Allison with a 1.58 jump in the high jump, which was also second all-time. And Cheyenne Williams ran a 26 minute and 19 second 200, which was 4th all-time. So a lot of big performances from the women's team.
Yeah, in terms of you talked about high jump, I think, with Hannah Allison, it's kind of been a tough situation for the jumps programs in terms of track and field at all, because we've lost a couple of coaches. Our specific high jump coach actually left to go to Elmira, I want to say. Maybe it was Alfred, one of those two. So the fact that the high jumpers are still doing what they're doing is really, really impressive. Caden McCaskill, probably the best high jumper on the campus. He had a pretty good meet. 187 is what he was able to clear over the weekends. Freshman Mason Renfrew, and then my boy Cooper Jones. Shout out to Cooper. But then even the women, like you said, Hannah Allison, able to perform without kind of the consistent coaching that they've had is really, really impressive to me.
Yeah, I was about to mention McCaskill too. When we look over at the men's side, he finished 4th overall, like you said, with that 187 leap for him. But it just shows it's just a testament to their talent. And Caden McCaskill, he's a guy that I remember back in his hooping days when he was playing basketball here. He was one of the biggest shows when they would do their pregame dunks. He was doing through the legs, 360, windmill, all that. He could fly.
He is such an athlete. Like I remember watching him in the warm-up lines dunk in. And then I think he quit basketball this year to play football.
He was playing some football too.
He is just an all-around athlete. He's crazy.
And nuts. And he's a local guy too, right?
He's from Rome, I want to say.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah, Hunter Logan as well from the men's side. Yet another incredible performance from him. Second in the shot put with a 16.32 meter throw. Insane numbers from him. And then Nolan Flynn and your boy, Jeremy Tanner Warren, placed 1st and 2nd out of 128 people. So big performance from them in the 200 meter with a 22.51 in that respective competition.
That's insane, by the way. They tied down to like the millionth of the second or something.
Yeah. You can't.
That's crazy.
You couldn't have scripted that any better, really.
And and Tanner too was running with a hurt shin.
Tanner took a. We were doing live ABs last Friday. We had live at bats. Tanner took a fastball. His first pitch of the AB, he took a fastball off his right shin, and he had pretty much. Oh, Eric Curry. He had pretty much the same time he had the week before when he broke a record.
Is he a lefty?
Yeah, he's a lefty. So he took a fastball. It was I think either a sinker or a cut fastball off his right shin, and he ran pretty much the same time he ran the week prior to that. So you can imagine if he was not banged up, the time he could have ran.
Well, I know I was talking to Nolan Flynn about his time the other day, and he was saying it was 22:51 point that 0005 or whatever it was, and I think in order to qualify for the regional meet, it's 22.51 flat. So he was kind of upset because he's wanted to do that at this meet, but he's just like a couple of fractions of a second off that regional time, which is again always really exciting to see Pioneers qualify for the regional meet.
Yeah, and they've got 3 more meets, so he's got a lot more time. As well as you, we got to talk about your performance. 8th all time in the pole vault.
That's not even my best jump. That's my practice jump.
That's just what an athlete we've got here at this table right here. I mean, looking forward to see how you do though. A lot more to come, right?
There's more coming. Got to be more coming. I hope so.
3 more meets.
Love
Excited
that.
to see if you could break that record.
I'm going for it.
I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more yet to be broken, and then once we get to regionals and NCAA's and all that, it's gonna be a lot of fun happening with track and field.
Oh yeah.
In the next coming weeks.
Big things coming.
And now let's move over to our last segment of the show. Let's go around and give our picks. Everybody's favorite segment. Let's go. Let's get our picks this week. Always love that graphic. Nothing gets me more fired up to do these picks than that graphic right there. Shout out Nico. Shout out everybody in the back. But here we go. Let's start it off. Men's basketball. They got 2 road games this week. First being that Friday night game against Elmira. Starting with you, Jeremy, what's your pick?
All right, so I know the tradition from last week is to erase whatever's on the board and write it down. I'm leaving this up to let everyone know that Eric Corey dislocated his shoulder playing pickup basketball. But I am going to take the Pioneers to go into Elmira, win that game, and then also go into Cayuga, win that game. Shout out to Antonio Brown. Walk in your trap, take over your trap.
Shout out to who?
Antonio Brown.
That's bold.
AB.
I'm doing the same thing. Utica times 2. I don't think it's really any question. Look at the standings. Utica's just better. I don't think there's any reason they're not going to win these games. So short and sweet. I'll keep it like that.
Giving us already your pre-prediction for Cayuga, too.
Oh, we're not doing Cayuga yet?
We'll start off with Elmira, but we can,
my
we
fault.
can do both. Hey, we know his pick
Hey.
now. We know his pick.
Utica sweep. I also did not know that we were doing one at a time. That's my bad. But Utica's playing their best basketball at the right time. Won 4 in a row, and just want to say something over here. I saw your record when you were talking. It said 12-4. I just want to remind you that one of those was a shootout loss back in Pennsylvania last week. Just want to remind you that. But yeah, Utica sweep this weekend, playing good basketball. They're going to continue this weekend.
I got the same here. Utica handles business. Both games are going to be 2 big wins versus Elmira and Cayuga, 2 of the bottom teams in the conference. Sean Coffey doesn't lose these games, and neither do a lot of those players in the Pioneers. A lot of big weekends coming up for them, and hopefully they can ride this into a home playoff game. Looking forward to see how they finish the season. And they got one more game against Poly, too, which is one that I'm really excited about, too, that we'll cover as well. But let's move over now to the women's basketball side of things. They're also going to be playing Elmira and Cayuga. Let's do one at a time this time. Elmira first. Jeremy, what's your pick?
All right, I'm not going to be the homer this week. I'm going to take Elmira on Friday night, I believe, to beat the women's basketball team. So I'm not going to be the complete homer this week. I'll take an away team.
I got to go with you, unfortunately. I know we talked about kind of being the homers. We're always kind of pulling for the Pioneers, but I think this is going to be, I think it'll be a closer game to the teams that have struggled in the conference, but I do think Elmira is going to just barely edge them out.
Yeah, short and simple for me as well. Utica loss.
Whoa!
I don't know why that's funny over here, but not playing the greatest basketball right now. And, yeah, there's not much to say right now. Utica lost.
Look, these people are giving a lot of credit to an Elmira team that's bottom in the conference, is winless in the conference, I believe.
No, they're 3-10.
3-10.
They're 3-10.
Pioneers are 1-12.
Cayuga's
Okay, 3-10 in
winless.
conference is not great. I'm going with Utica. I think that they can figure things out. They've got a lot of film to watch from this weekend, especially that senior day film. There's a lot of good things that they did, a lot of things they can clean up. I think Michelle Davis is going to get her squad going. They're going to get a big win this weekend on the road.
3-10 is 2 games better than 1-12. Utica's losing.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Utica's
I might have
also
to do another
6-0.
mug bet for this one because I'm very confident in this Utica team heading on the road.
TV.
All right, Jeremy, what's your pick versus women's basketball versus Cayuga?
Now, I'm not the greatest numbers guy, but 1-12 in conference looks a whole lot better than 0-13. So I'm going to take the Utica Pioneers to beat Cayuga. That's really all I got for that pick. Just keep Cayuga winless in conference.
Are you too cool to use your whiteboard? Is that what
I
the
told
deal
you
is?
I'm leaving up because I want everyone to know that Eric Corey dislocated his shoulder playing pickup.
All right, well, I think this is going to be a good game. Again, these next 2 games, Elmira, team that struggled, Pioneers, team that struggled, and then Cayuga now, a team that struggled. But I got to take the Pioneers on this one. Again, 0-13, not that great. They've only won 5 games on the year, and they've currently lost 14 in a row, Cayuga. So they've been struggling. I don't see the Pioneers breaking that losing streak, being the Cayuga's first win in Empire 8 play. So I'm going to take the Pioneers on this one.
I'm also going to take the Yeah, get out of here. Utica. Utica gets there first. 13-3, better than Jeremy's 12-4. Give me Cayuga to get there first. Utica women's basketball is not playing good. Utica's 3-19 overall. Cayuga's 5-17. 2 more wins in Utica, and they're gonna beat them. Cayuga gets there first this weekend. Mark my words.
No, they're not.
They're not getting it. It's Utica all day. They're
always
gonna
been
get this.
Utica.
They're gonna get the sweep this weekend. They're gonna get 2 big wins that they're gonna use to their advantage when it comes to recruiting. Bring in some good recruits, and they're gonna be a great team coming in next year. So I think 2 big wins for the Pioneers this weekend. So I got 2 sweeps this weekend, men's and women's both sweep. And now let's move over to the women's hockey side of things. They're gonna travel to Manhattanville to take on the Valiants. Jeremy, what's your pick?
I talked high of them at the beginning of the show. I'm going to keep it the same way I left it. Women's hockey, go in, beat Manhattanville, doesn't matter where they're playing. And the Manhattanville, good program, scrappy team, but Pioneers is too much talent for them to handle. Pioneers won both.
I'm taking the same thing. Pioneers ×2. It's a little bit of a drive. Manhattanville's not a terrible team. I think it's going to be a good competition. You got to take a 3.5-hour drive. Maybe it'll throw them off a little bit, but then I think they'll be comfortable. So I think worst case scenario, maybe they just lose the first one, and then they'll take the second one. But I'm confident. I think Utica ×2 is a pretty comfortable bet.
I'm also taking Utica. They might actually win by 14. This Manhattanville team is not good, and they won 9-0 combined. I think it's 14-0 this time. Going into playoffs, this team is picking up momentum, or they have to start picking up momentum heading into the playoffs. And there's one way to do that, and that's take care of the teams that are garbage, and Manhattanville's garbage. Give me Utica.
Give me Utica ×2. I think, like you said, this team's going to get absolutely smoked. After they went scoreless in to Nazareth, they went scoreless, losing 1-0 in that last game versus the Golden Flyers. I think they're going to come out strong, get two big must-win games, and expect. I got a little inside source for those of you out there that might be, thinking about what might happen in this game. I think Riley Calhoun's going to have a big game. She's got some family coming from the Westchester side of things. Shout out everybody from back home. But I think Riley Calhoun's going to have a big game, and the Pioneers are going to get a big win. To wrap things up, the biggest game there is this weekend. Two-game series, men's hockey versus SUNY Geneseo. Jeremy, what's your pick?
Friday night at the Odd. Men's hockey wins. And please, for the love of everything good in this world, no shootout. Because I can't take this shootout stuff we had to go through before the show
How do
started.
you lose off a shootout?
Yeah.
To Chatham.
Enough out of you. Enough.
You see it. Utica's taking the first one. They're taking the home game. And then I think they're going to travel out to Geneseo, and I think they're going to take it. I think they've got a lot they want to win. Obviously, Geneseo beat them in the Teddy Bear Toss. That's their biggest game of the year. That's the one they really want to win. So I think they've got a little bit more going into this game that they want to win a little bit more. So I think they're going to take the first one, but I think Geneseo is too good of a game. I don't see them sweeping. So I know I was a little mad about the little flip-flop. I can't just say they're going to split. No one's going to sweep. So I'm taking Utica in the first game. You can write this down. Utica in the first game, Geneseo in the second game.
I'm going to predict both games.
Why are we not predicting? He's done it for every single one.
I mean, Jack might actually be a scientist. Everything he was about to say was exactly what I was going to say. Utica wins the first, Utica loses the second. I saw on Instagram today, Friday night is herd night. There's no way they lose off of the Teddy Bear Toss loss. They're going to play angry, and like you said, fourth best team in the country is not an easy team to sweep. I'm going to say they also split, and each team wins their home games. Utica wins the first, Utica loses the second.
Smart man.
I'm going to disagree with you guys there. Hot take, Utica ×2. They're going to get the sweep versus Geneseo. Watch it happen. I'm telling you, this is a team that just got a 6-2 win on the road. They're going to come in. Offense is going to be hot. They're going to win both games this weekend.
Well, since I didn't predict the second game, I'm going to go with the majority of the table. I do think Geneseo will win the second game. I think both home teams will win. I think the Pioneers, again, on herd night, our very own Gavin Gretsch will be leading the charge with the chants.
Oh, yeah.
Down at the Odd. So I think having that in their corner on Friday night will really propel them to a win. But a big letdown spot going back on the road after beating Geneseo Friday night. I think the Knights take it on Saturday. So a home team split I got this weekend for the men's hockey side.
All right, and that'll just about do it here for us down at Utica TV. Make sure you like and subscribe down below. We'll be back again here next week with more insight on everything Utica sports. Thank you for watching, and always remember to fear the moose. Ah!